Hello, everybody, and welcome to the McRADcast. Today, Josh and I are joined by our friend and half Vietnamese fella, Christopher Nguyen. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Man, we're great.
Yeah. And in true cultural fashion, he's already got his shoes off as soon as he walks in the door.
By the door, yeah. That's a
Every
thing.
damn time.
I can't help it,
He
man.
cannot
Like,
help it. It is.
Is that like an all Asian thing?
It's a lot of Asian.
Because I know
not all
Japanese,
maybe. They even take it to another level.
Yeah.
Like, they have special slippers that they will only wear in
Yeah.
their bathroom, and then they'll come out and they'll change to something different.
Okay.
But Vietnamese people, it's just it's just take your shoes off in the house, because the way my dad explained it growing up is you walk outside and outside is dirty, so the bottom of your shoes are dirty.
Yep.
So it's disrespectful to walk into someone's home and track the bottom of your shoes, which are dirty, into their home and dirtying up their house.
Sure.
So I don't wear my shoes.
Dude, I didn't even
into-
request it, but I appreciate the sentiment. Yeah.
And here's the thing. I haven't seen his parents in a long time. I went to his house about a month ago, give or take. Forgot. I had to take you something or get something from you. I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
But I walked up in there just being me, you know what I mean, all rude and shit with my shoes on, and then his dad gave me a dirty look. You know what I mean? He didn't say anything. Gave me a dirty
But
look.
you knew.
Oh, I knew what it was for. I was like,
fucking
oh,
savage."
I'm so sorry about that. That's
Yeah.
my bad.
White people, man.
Yeah, we're the worst.
So you just recently got back from Vietnam.
Yeah.
Correct.
I went over there on a little short vacation for 5 weeks.
Yeah, and you brought us a present. What is this thing called again?
In Vietnamese, it's called a cao da, and basically it's an Asian hacky sack.
Yeah. So for those that obviously can't see this, what it is basically is a grouping of feathers, pretty long feathers, with these kind of plastic disc at the bottom and then kind of a weight at the bottom of it. So it obviously always will fall. So I can see where you could like kick this thing, and is that how you do it? Like a hacky sack? You kick it around and
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like they kick it like we kick a hacky sack when they're practicing by themselves, but in Vietnam and China and other countries, the way they do it is like one person and another, like two people will be standing apart from each other, and there will be like a 20 to 30 foot gap,
okay.
and they're just like kicking the thing back and forth to each other.
Gotcha.
Or they'll have a circle going, but there's like a good 10 to 15 foot in between the circle, and like they're just like kicking it back and forth to each other.
so it could be more than one. It
Yeah.
could be like
Almost
multiple.
like they do with like a soccer ball in other countries.
Yeah. It's almost like a
Or like the
freestyle
Thai volleyball.
Yeah, and we used to do the hacky sack in a circle. You just would have to stand a little tighter than that.
Yeah,
you know
so
what I mean?
when I worked at, I say worked, I hung out a lot at Budo Tattoo, which was way back when, where I got my first tattoos at. Me and Jeff and James Rowe and those guys everyone always had a hacky sack, and then we just would do that. And
Yep.
Jeff Stevens, super good at hacky sack.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah, totally weird thing to be like.
I was weirdly decent at it as well, but I took a lot of practice for me to get there. Right, I just always practiced.
All of us were like decent, but Jeff could do these like crazy tricks and stuff. He'd go off script, you know.
Yeah.
The around the world and like kicking on one leg, jumping one leg over and
Yep.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for the gift. This is really cool.
Oh, no
It's
problem.
really awesome.
Pretty dope.
We'll have to try this out sometime.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we'll go out in the yard, kick it around.
Yeah.
So not the first time you've been to Vietnam,
It was like my 6th or 7th time
Okay.
being
because you were born here in the States, correct?
correct.
Yep.
Yep. Born in
And-
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Rock and roll, home of Gen Con.
But raised in Savannah and Jackson, basically most of the time.
Yeah, we lived in Texas for a short bit. I barely remember it.
Yeah.
But we lived in Savannah, Tennessee, and Jackson, Tennessee most of my life.
Rock and roll. So what was the you spent quite a bit. We were just talking about before we started recording, like a couple of years, kind of back and forth there.
Yeah, because when I went to get married to my wife, you have to do the paperwork and getting all the paperwork and the lawyer to get everything ready to get her over. And I was going to stay over here and wait for the paperwork to get done, but she got pregnant. So I just went over there and I worked as a teacher and worked for her brother for a little while doing running deliveries.
Okay.
And just stayed with her and had the baby, and then when the baby was born, the paperwork was, well, her paperwork was ready before the baby was born, but we had to wait for the baby to be born because she couldn't fly.
I gotcha.
And then once the baby was born, we had to wait for the baby to be old enough
Yeah.
to be able to fly, and also we had to wait to get his get all of his legal status worked out.
Okay. Cool, man.
Pain in the ass, right?
Oh, it's super pain in the ass, man. Like,
Yeah,
because in Vietnam, money talks.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter, like, if you have proof of anything or some of this other stuff. What matters is the money. Like, yeah, you need the proof for everything else, but it's like you need the money to get it done quick.
You can expedite the process if you got more money or
Grease
whatever.
a few palms.
Yeah.
that sort
Oh
of thing.
yeah, 100%.
So how's the like? We've talked about this a little bit, but I've always wondered like how. So being an American going into a different culture like that, and obviously your father's Vietnamese,
Yes.
but
But it was a culture
to
shock.
be like really inundated in the culture. Was it like a big deal? It's a lot of changes, a lot of.
Man, it was such a huge culture shock because one thing I wasn't expecting is like Vietnamese people are super friendly.
Okay.
And like a lot of them want to drink with you, and they'll drink you under the table. Like, well, they probably wouldn't drink you guys under the table.
I don't know. I'm not a pro like I used to be.
A guy like me that doesn't drink a lot, like I only drink socially. Oh God, they drink me under the table all the time.
Yeah, I bet they could do that for me now because I don't. Yeah, it's like rare. Yeah, I just don't do it anymore.
And
So.
they often, you were telling me that most of them love Americans, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's like a
dude,
big deal to be an American over there.
And that's cool to hear because, and this is random, but do you know what's the YouTube douche? What's his name? Logan Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Logan.
Yeah.
Logan something. Did you see that stuff where he went to Japan?
Yeah, and did the forest. Or
Well,
whatever.
that was terrible. I'll talk about that in a
the
second.
thing that got him like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he got in
but
trouble for that,
but
yeah.
before that, he was even just going around and like doing these silly ass pranks in the streets of Japan, and like, and I don't know much about the Japanese, but I know I had a couple of buddies who grew up mostly in Japan. They're Americans, but their parents were missionaries.
Yep.
Not Scott Futrell, sorry, Scott Norton,
Norton,
and Johnny Bost, and Johnny's in Oregon now. Scott's in Alabama. They were from Alabama originally, and then they, would go over there. So just there's just a different code of things.
Yeah, code of conduct. So
Yeah,
to speak.
and
the way
so-
you act on the streets and with each other.
So to be out and
100%. Like,
know.
for instance, when we're out in public, my wife will even act a certain way. But when it's just family,
Sure.
like, she acts more like us.
Okay.
Like, she said some jokes that have made me blush. And in our circle of friends, I'm the guy that usually, like, is the one that, like, it's like, did Chris just say that?
yeah,
Like,
Chris doesn't have too many filters, and he
Yeah.
doesn't have shame
I'm the
or
same,
fear,
yeah.
or you know what I mean. If you wanted someone to do some crazy shit, you're just like, "Hey, Chris, would you go do that thing?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, all right," and he'd just get up and do it.
I think
You'd
that's
be like,
probably
"What
why we got along from probably the jump,
Yeah,
because we've had a bunch,
likely.
we've had several of my friends and well, I mean everyone who's been on here has been a friend of mine, but a lot that I met through the same channels, which was going and hanging out at Chan's shop.
oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
that's kind of where I met you guys, I think, for the most part. But no, what I was kind of getting at was, like Logan Paul went over there to Japan and he was doing all these silly pranks, and they're not even funny. Just to be real, it's not even funny
Yeah, it's
pranks.
just goofy as
And so
fuck.
everyone on the street is like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" And they're like, "Oh." And so for that, it's like, dude, you're in someone else's house, like
jeez.
it's not all America all the time. You know what I mean? Like, chill out. Like,
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
in the culture and like know how to be a good guest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because also in Japan, it's like when you're in someone's home, it's all about being respectful. Like,
Sure.
And in Vietnam, it's the same way. Like, if you're in somebody's home, you need to be like as respectful as possible.
Sure.
When you're outside, you can
Well-
you can wiggle around a little bit. And plus, the Japanese, the way they joke with people, like, you don't see them joke with people inside houses.
I gotcha.
Like, all their jokes are outside.
It's reserved for
and,
a social.
yeah, but now some of their
interactions and stuff.
jokes, like, woo, like in America would not fly. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen some where people are like going to the bathroom and they're like trying to pee or poop, and like suddenly the porta potty breaks down, and like you can just see everything that's
Jesus.
going on, and then like a jet ski will drag them off into like the ocean. And they're like, "What's going on?"
That's insane.
I saw another one where like they're like they're on this mountain where it's like, and like people are snowboarding and tubing and whatnot, and like the guys would go in and they get on this couch, or not couch, like a recliner that would like lay back, and like the massage would start going. Well, they recline back, put their money in, and it's like boop, 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 and they're like, what is this noise that's going on here? I don't understand. And the couch does a full 180 and rocket propels them down the mountain, like out of this secret doorway.
Which essentially is the opposite of a massage. You know, if we're being honest.
Super stress.
You're like, I'm just going to relax a minute, and then you're all of a sudden you're flying down a mountain. That's insane. I love
Down
it.
the mountain.
I need to go to Japan, apparently.
Or get on YouTube and look at their their
Prank shows.
Their 100 jokes. Like,
Oh, and
they get 100 people, and they'll do these jokes on people, like just these mob jokes where people will be walking down an alleyway, and then you'll see like a crowd of like 100 people just running their direction.
Oh,
And it's
those
like,
are great.
You just try to see what the other people's reactions are.
I got
gonna
you.
be.
Like, oh shit, we gotta go. Yeah. I think I would run with the crowd.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
I think I'd be like, yep, I'm gonna. I don't want to, because I jokingly before this thing started, we were sitting here talking, and there was like what sounded like a gunshot outside, and I live kind of not in the country, but I mean, it's outside the city limits.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty busy intersection here.
Yes.
Where we're at, so I thought it was like a car backfire, right? And I was like, I was like, is that a gunshot? And Josh just immediately walks like straight outside, and I was like, that's the most white guy thing ever, like a potential gunshot, and he just goes to it, and then when he comes and says, we're like, oh, it's just somebody's car backfired, and then a few minutes later, it was like the exact same sound,
yeah,
even. It
from
was
the
like,
exact same area.
and we're like,
yeah.
that's definitely a gun. Like someone's shooting a gun right now. And like I said, not really the country, but not the city limits by any means, but like no safe place to shoot a gun. Like there's things in every direction. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now, but which it was just 2 shots. So hopefully they figured it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Just sighting in that scope. You know
But that was
saying?
a pretty white guy thing to just be like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
I just walked out like, dadgummit, who's shooting guns?
So, but yeah, then I hate to keep harping on this dude because everyone probably knows about it, but then the Logan Paul dude, after acting like an idiot in the streets of Japan, and everybody's like, who is this douchebag? Goes to there's a forest in Japan that's deemed the suicide forest.
Yes.
And people go there and literally hang themselves and commit suicide. It's a terrible thing, but I think in Japanese culture, there's this there's a lot of stress to be at a certain social status, or especially in school, to be successful, and for people who don't reach that level, that's kind of what they sometimes resort to, which is very sad.
Fairly high suicide rate over there.
I
right?
think so, yeah. And Logan Paul went into the suicide forest and like filmed a dead body and put it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
And
man,
then he
that's
tried to
so
spin it and say like, oh, he was trying to be like this anti-suicide message. And if you hear any psychologist talk about that's like the last thing you ever want to show anyone that might be having those thoughts. Right. Like you don't want to show
the final result.
Man, and I don't want to rap. I don't rap on that too much because I don't, like I said, I don't want to make anybody feel any weird or whatever. But yeah, it's like those are the things. It's like, man, you don't go into someone else's country
Yeah.
and do things like that. Well, you shouldn't do that anyway.
Oh yeah.
But to completely that's just a complete disrespect.
Yeah, it's one
of the
thing
culture.
to do it here where you're from.
And you shouldn't do that either.
Yeah, but it's definitely
yeah.
more acceptable there
yeah.
because
But
you're not fucking with some other culture that you have zero understanding of.
Like he went to like some fish market or something and was like putting fish in people's faces and stuff, and the Japanese people were like, "What the hell? Are you what the fuck's going
He's
on
super
here?"
successful, obviously,
But and the dude's you're an Uber douche with millions of dollars, and you're just bored.
Yep.
Like, figure it out.
he's
man.
just trying to come up with content. Basically.
And like, it's my thing is like, dude, you're not even funny.
Yeah.
Like, just be. Anyway, that's a whole new rant. But anyway, but yeah. So when you went now, as someone who grew up here, have you always spoke Vietnamese? Is it something you've recently learned? Is it
back in 2007, the first time I went to Vietnam, I studied the language and I picked up a little bit, but over the years I kind of lost it, and like the only thing I had retained was like, how are you? Thank you. You're pretty, and
that's important when you go to a foreign country.
absolutely?
oh yeah,
And everybody loves Americans. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
oh yeah.
How do you think you got that wife, y'all? Boom.
Right? Oh yeah, my wife is totally out of my league. Like so far out of my
And
league.
100%
Ridiculous.
Vietnamese.
Yes.
It's, listen, I love her to death. I love you. I love everyone associated with you, but it's a little awkward at parties because she's not the greatest with English, and so she's real standoffish, you know what I mean? And so it sucks for her. I feel bad for her every time because it's like, oh, man, I wish she could be more of a part of this conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is Vietnamese, is it a pretty tough language to...
Oh, my God.
to-
It's so tough.
Yeah.
Like, because it's a tonal language.
Okay.
So
Chinese, I think, is as well, right?
yes,
Yeah.
Chinese, I think they have 4 tones, and Vietnamese has 6 tones.
Okay.
But if you ask like a real Vietnamese person, they'll say that they only have 5 tones.
Okay.
Because I include the fact that no tone is a tone.
Okay.
And-
like if I were to learn Vietnamese, like part of the way I would speak it would
Yeah,
be
well,
like
like-
the no tone.
Yeah, see, in English, everything is no tone.
Sure.
We don't. The only time we change our tones is like if we're asking questions, if we're angry. Like we
The
change our
inflection,
tone. We change our
yeah.
tones with emotions. Where Vietnamese people, they change their tones just how they talk.
And they always sound angry.
But it's like
a
a core.
Yes.
It is a core of their language, though, right?
Oh, yes,
It isn't
yes.
like I'm
Yeah.
saying an angry thing, so I'm making it sound angry. It's just the tone.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
because you got tones that rise, you got tones that fall, you got tones that fall and then rise. Then you've got the tones that curve. It's like there's a question mark above the letter.
Okay.
You've got a short glutal stop. Then you have then there's the no tone. I'm trying to think. I think I'm forgetting one. No, I think I got them all.
Right on.
Yeah, it was really interesting from our perspective as outsiders, basically, when we were really young. Because I met Chris when I was, 9 or so, give or take, 9 or 10 or 11, something like that.
Yeah, I was 10 years old when I moved to Jackson.
And so, yeah, I had to have been 11 then. And so when you walk into a house and there's a very short Vietnamese man, but he has one of the deepest voices you've ever heard in your life, right? And so
This is his father.
Yes,
Right, okay.
it's his father. And so it's really awkward to begin with because it's this tiny man, but like super intimidating voice. And then you can't understand a fucking thing he's saying, right? Because he understands it fine because he's listened to it his whole life. But you don't understand it because he has this thick Vietnamese accent, right? And so you're like, what in the fuck did he just say to me?
Yeah.
I do not know.
Oh, Aaron's dad called the house one day to like make sure it was okay for Aaron to stay the night. And when we came and picked him, me and my mom went to pick Aaron up, and Aaron's dad was like, "So, Chris, are you half Asian? Is that correct?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm half Asian. Why?" And he's like, "Do y'all live with other people by any chance?" I was like, "No, I don't understand why you're asking me this." He's like, "Well, because I called your house and I could have swore a 350-pound black man was on the phone." And I was like, "Oh, that's my dad. He's just has a naturally deep voice."
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we like I said, we actually mentioned your dad on a episode with was it Tanner? Was it the first?
No, I think it was actually Colby and Chad.
Yeah. And the interaction that he and was it Corey?
Yeah.
You and
our
Corey.
old friend Corey. Yeah, it was literally the first time. I think he had been over there before, but I had never been over there because he met you first, and then this was like my first introduction, and so we walk in and we sit on the couch, and Chris had this massive big screen TV back then, but
DLP.
Yeah.
Big screen TVs back then were projection TVs, right? You couldn't see them from like weird angles. And
Yeah, if you
shit.
turned slightly,
They
it was like,
weighed
wait.
like 700 pounds.
Yeah, it was.
yeah.
It was crazy, and we were in awe because we were all poor kids basically, and his parents had one of those big TVs or whatever. And we're like, "What the fuck is this?" And so we were like sitting there waiting for Chris to get ready. I don't even remember what was going on. His dad's yelling in the back, "Hey boy, what the fuck?" And you're like, "What the fuck did he just say?" And then. It's already awkward enough, right? Because you're in a new environment, you're kind of nervous, you know what I mean? You're a young kid, and then all of a sudden, the washing machine starts to do, and then, me and Corey are sitting there, and we were both chubby kids, so I don't know why he picked Corey over me, but he said, "Hey, fat boy," and we were like, "Do what? Did he just say fat boy?" And we like looked at each other real awkwardly, and then he's like, "Yeah, you." And he's like, Corey's like points at himself. He's like, "Me?" He's like, "Yeah, you, fat boy." And he says, "Yeah." He's like, "Come sit on the washer." And he's like, and so we like nervously looked at each other, and Corey just like got up and went and sat on the washing machine until it would settle it, and
Yeah.
And then the other great story I'll tell that's iconic.
Amongst our circle of friends.
Yeah,
yes.
it's iconic amongst our friends is Chris has 3 older brothers. The one that's right, Chris is the youngest of the brothers. There's 2 that are quite a bit older, several years older, and then there's one that's 2 years older than you?
Yes.
His name is Ryan, but we always called him Rome, and I have no idea why. That was just what we called him. And so all of a sudden, we're all in Chris's room playing Twisted Metal. It was the first time I'd ever played Twisted Metal. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, right?
Yeah. I think we brought that up on one of our
so
shows, yeah.
we're jamming out playing Twisted Metal on the futon, kicking ass and taking names. And then Rome's in there with us. And then you hear from the kitchen, which is not that far because they're really small houses.
Yes.
You hear the super deep voiced Vietnamese man go, "Rome, make that tea." And we were like, what the fuck? And so he was like, "I'll do it in a minute, Dad." And that is a spot-on impression of Rome, by the way, especially when he was 14.
Yeah.
He was like, "I'll do it in a minute, Dad." And he's like, "No, now, goddammit." And he was like, "What the?" And so he's like, "In a minute." And so, like, Rome was holding an empty Pringles can that he had just finished off, right? And he was just like playing with it in his hand or whatever. And his dad, this tiny figure showed up, menacing tiny figure, showed up in the doorway of the bedroom. And like, you could see the panic in that poor boy's eyes, right? He was just like, "Oh shit, I done fucked up."
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Oh," and he starts like literally like yelling. And like his dad grabs that Pringles can from him and turns it upside down where that metal part is.
Yeah.
And just starts bonking it off of his head, chasing him down the hallway. And he's like, "I'm making the tea, Dad." And he's like, "I said make that goddamn tea." Boom, boom, boom. And you could hear it getting progressively louder as they went farther away. So he was like hitting him harder and harder every time. It was amazing.
Well, look, you got to make the tea, man.
Yeah, you got to make the fucking tea when your dad tells you to make the tea.
Any insight on so your brother's name's Ryan,
Yeah.
but Rome, where's that? What's that?
Yeah. Well, his middle name is Ryan, but we always called him Rome because he was just always roaming around.
Oh, okay.
Like as a kid, like he was always going somewhere, always doing something. Even in the house, he never stayed in one place. He always roamed around. So like eventually, we just started calling him Rome. Like I don't even remember when it started, but like as long as I can remember, we always called him Rome.
Rome's a pretty dope name, though.
Yeah.
Like,
It just and the funny thing is later in life when you kind of see him again, you're like, "What's up, Rome?" And then everyone's like, "What the fuck is that?" You know what I mean? Because you don't like carry those nicknames forever, especially
Sure.
if you meet new friends that don't know that's your nickname.
right.
And so they're like, "What's up, man? Hey, it's Ryan." And I was like, "That's not Ryan. That's Rome. What are you talking about?"
I had just through high school, everyone just called me by my last name, and I don't know where that started or whatever. I think it's because there was like a lot of
43 Justins.
There was a lot of Justins even in our class, and while we didn't all hang out just together all the time, like there was a lot of times where there would be like 6 or 7 Justins. So I think everyone just kind of took the last name.
It's a
thing.
cool last name too.
But there was people that knew me forever. And that's not a thing anymore because I generally tell people my name's Justin now, just because I don't know what it is about McCaskill. When you say it, people are like, "What?"
Yeah.
And you're like, McCaskill, and they're like, and they look at you like, I don't speak that. You're like, it's just McCaskill. It's easy. But there were people I had known for years that didn't know my name was Justin.
Yeah, it still freaks me out when people are like, "You mean Justin?" I'm like, no, I mean McCaskill.
Well, and I think one reason a lot of people doubt now is because of social media. So your full names on there or whatever. But there was people that I'd known for 5 or 6 years at one point. They were like, "Wait, what is your first name?" And I'm like, "It doesn't matter." But yeah, so they didn't know. But anyway, yeah. So we talked about this on our kind of our sub series. We were talking video games. And
Video games.
I thought you did. So we were kind of talking about favorites we had growing up, and kind of we talked about our evolution through the different systems and how we played each thing and all that. But do you have a favorite video game?
Final Fantasy VII.
See, that came up in ours as well.
Yeah.
Both of my children have Final Fantasy VII names.
Yeah, he goes deep with it.
Oh, nice. What are your kids' names?
My oldest one, his name's Cloud,
Okay.
and then
This next one's a doozy.
Yeah.
So
You're going to be so impressed with this.
because I was allowed to name my first child. My wife had she had 95% rights to name the second child.
Okay.
The other 5% was like, "No, honey, he's gonna get made fun of. Like we can't name our son Sue. That's not happening."
Right on.
But she wanted to name him John, and I was like, "No, we can't name him John because my middle name's John. Because in Vietnamese culture, you can't name your children after you
Oh.
or like the grandparents, because the way they look at it is if you get onto your child, well, you're also getting onto that person you named them after.
Oh, interesting.
So
I didn't. That's pretty cool, huh?
yeah, because I was going to give my oldest son, I was going to give him my dad's, I was going to give his middle name my dad's name.
Okay.
And they're like, no, you can't do that. And and then they explained it to me, and I was like, oh, okay, all right.
I love how
then.
the Vietnamese culture trumped your own culture.
Well, I feel like that's pretty cool because
it is a neat thing.
I get that because it's like I think maybe in that culture the name there's more to the name.
Yeah,
and
it's like a generational embodiment.
And honestly, in a way, in America, I don't know if it's the same way anymore, but it probably used to be more that way. But the opposite of like naming someone after yourself or a grandparent was like an honor,
yes,
or something. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's kind of a different. Anyway.
Yeah. But and my second child, so we eventually named him Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, because my dad got to name the middle name of our oldest son, so my mom named the middle name of our youngest son, and his middle name is Titus, the main character in Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
But while I was filling out the information for the birth certificate, I snuck in Sephiroth, which is the main villain for Final Fantasy VII.
Of course it is.
This motherfucker's name is Jonathan Titus Sephiroth Nguyen.
Yep.
That's hardcore, man.
Fucking,
I like that it starts with Jonathan too.
Yeah, it's like normal, off the rails.
Like a pretty white name.
Yeah.
Like we know a Jonathan, and he's real white.
Yeah, as ginger white as it
Yeah.
gets.
Jonathan, if you're listening to this, I love you.
Yeah.
You're white.
We all
Yeah.
love you.
You are pale, son.
Yeah.
Pasty white.
He's like transparent.
My wife is so jealous of how white he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, that's another Vietnamese culture
Because,
thing.
well, in most Asian cultures, like in their DNA, it's just super easy for them to get tan. My wife could walk outside for 20 minutes and get a shade darker, but it's hard for them to stay white. Which, I walk outside, I have to be outside for 3 hours to get a shade darker. But for them, like, white is what's beautiful. So, like, if you see any Asian actors and actresses on, like, the big screen, 90% of the time, they're going to be, like, pale white.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's like high class society is
I just get
pale.
red.
Yeah, because
Me too. Over and over again.
That's why I covered my stuff with tattoos, so I can just.
Well, they explained it to me as back in the, like, if you were tan or had dark skin, you were considered poor because you had to work outside.
Had to work in the fields.
Oh,
So if you
okay.
had pale skin, that meant you were rich and you either didn't work or you had an inside job.
I got you. Okay.
Speaking of the tattoos to cover for sun, like my tattoos burn in the sun a lot easier. Like my skin feels hotter when the sun gets direct contact on
Oh,
it.
weird. I don't know. I've never really paid attention.
I have huge pussy skin though, so
That sounds weird.
That's why I'm attracted to him so much. I love that man.
Oh man. Yeah, I've never really noticed. Like, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I definitely try to. If I know I'm going to be out in the sun for a long time, I definitely sunscreen up because I don't want to mess up my.
I just wear long sleeves all the time.
You do. I couldn't do that. I would die a little.
Literally year round, I just wear long sleeves. My hands are the only thing that get tan.
Yeah, but you also do, like with your work, it's like.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
I actually picked that up from a Mexican.
Yeah.
He was literally working on a roof one time, and as I was spraying yards, and he was coming down, and I was like, man, I saw every one of the Mexicans up top doing the roof job, and they all had long sleeve shirts on. I was like, that's insane. It's like 40 degrees hotter up there than it is down here. I have done that job before, and it's very hot.
It's awful,
Yes.
And I was like, and I asked him, I was like, hey man, you speak English? He's like, yeah, man. And like normal. I was like, well, all right, that was very stereotypical. I'm sorry.
Hey.
And then he was cool about it though. And I was like, what's up with the long sleeves? And he was like, man, it keeps the sun off of you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. If the sun's not having direct contact with your skin effectively, then it's a lot
Like you
cooler.
might feel warmer or whatever, but still.
It actually, and I have since adopted that, and it is actually cooler over the long run to wear long sleeves in direct sunlight.
You heard it here, folks. Wear long sleeves.
Yeah, pussies.
Yeah, don't be a bitch about it. So, do you think you're Vietnamese? So, I mean, it's had to have gotten better, obviously, if you're going and
ever since, I mean, in 2015 when me and my wife first started talking, and which, I mean, how we even got hooked up is a crazy story, but I started learning Vietnamese so I could talk to her.
Sure.
And when I went over there to get married to her, I couldn't barely speak Vietnamese. She couldn't speak any English at all.
That's crazy. Romeo and Juliet, but barrier is the language.
Yeah, like Google
So
Translate.
she was zero English.
Zero English.
Okay.
Google Translate was my hero.
Okay.
That's
And,
incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
You got married through Google Translate.
at the end of the day, you're like, whatever works, you know.
Yeah, like if there was something we couldn't understand, we just pop it into Google Translate. Except for all the time I was having to like explain to her, I'm like, listen, when you put something into Google Translate, you have to add all the diacritics and like all the symbols. Like you have to put all those in there. If you don't put all those in there, Google Translate doesn't know what the hell you're talking about.
I got you.
Which, Vietnamese people know what you're talking about. I was like, I am only half and I don't know the language, so you need to put it all in there.
Did you ever get any crazy messages?
No, they were all basic.
Okay, that'd be great if it was just like completely like just out of left field, like.
Oh no, no, nothing out of left field.
Okay.
But now most of the left field stuff I got like while I was there, and like my dad would have to tell me or somebody'd have to explain it to me. Like okay, before we got married, her parents sat down with my dad because my mom was over here and it was just me and my dad over there. And they were like, "So what does your son bring to the table?" And majority of my wife's family is actually kind of well off for Vietnamese people.
Yeah.
Like two of her brothers are more well off than I am over here.
Okay.
And so they were like, what does he bring to the table? And my dad was like, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. My son don't bring shit to the table. He lives at home with mommy and daddy. Granted, I was helping out with bills and stuff, but still, I lived at home with mommy and daddy. I was a server at the time, and which servers make good money, but at the same time, like status wise,
sure,
they were like, "Oh, he's a server."
Yeah.
And it was like, listen, my son don't bring shit to the table. He has a car, but it's a very rundown, broke ass car. And I was like, they're like, he don't have land, he don't have a house, he ain't got nothing. But what he does have is he'll love your daughter more than anybody else you will ever find, and he can take her to America. So he has that. And if that's not good enough, let me know. I'll explain it to him. We'll pack our bags and we'll go back to the city.
Dude, your dad's just straight up.
My dad's super hardcore.
He's hardcore.
And
I love that. I love it, man.
Another great story interjection here with Tommy Nguyen, his dad. I hadn't seen him in a while, right? And Chris went to the military for a couple of years, and then he came back. And I was coming to visit Chris shortly after he came back. He hadn't seen me in a while. I'd gained weight, apparently. The first thing, his dad was in the carport smoking a cig, like Vietnamese folks do. And as soon as I walked up, he's like, "Goddamn, boy, you done got fat." I was like, "Oh, good to see you too, Tommy. That's great. I love you, man."
Yeah.
But he minces no words.
My own dad, one time we had been somewhere and someone took some pictures. I think it was out at Sadie Lou's in South Jackson there. We'd go out there every once in a while and sing karaoke and drink beer because it was cheaper. And somebody had taken a picture and they've got like a wall where they put all the pictures up there. And my dad would go in there every once in a while, and he went in one time and saw a picture of me up there. And he hadn't seen me in a little while. And he made a remark, "Oh, damn, boy, he loves the Twinkies, don't he?" Or something, you know. So yeah, I can understand that from that perspective. So
it's super funny in Vietnamese culture. Like, they're just blunt people.
Yeah.
And like calling someone fat and skinny, it like your feelings matter zero.
Sure.
It's just a fact.
Just a descriptor.
So
just
like,
all right.
yeah, like when someone says you're fat or skinny, it's like, listen, I'm just being honest with you. It's it's not like I'm trying to offend you.
Sure.
It's just I'm just telling you the truth.
Yeah.
So I would go, like when I was over there, and people were assuming I didn't know the language, I would hear kids be like, "Damn, you see that fat ass American?" And then now, here's the funny thing: if they were kids or like younger than me, I'd be like, "Hey, I understand you." They'd be like, "Oh shit, sorry," and walk off because I'm older than them, and they're not supposed to disrespect me.
Right.
Now, if they were older than me, they'd be like, "Yeah, damn, boy, you're fat. Like, if you lost a little weight, you'd look better. By the way, you speak Vietnamese?"
That's incredible.
I love it. Well, like it's weird because like, I mean, I don't want anyone just to like be disrespectful or whatever, but like I've made references like, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm a fat ass or whatever, like about myself, and people will be like, "Don't say that," and I'm like, I mean, I'm gonna. Like, I don't.
gonna call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, I'm okay. Like, it's fine. But Anyway, but so like as far as your Vietnamese though, is it like where would you say you're at Vietnamese speaking wise?
I am. They say I'm pretty good, but I don't think I'm pretty good because there's still a lot I don't understand. But like if I was over there by myself, I could get my point across. I could have a job. I could live day-to-day life, but there'd be certain things I just wouldn't understand. Like for instance, I don't know the word for throat. So if I have to say throat, I'll say like inside the neck. And like that's just how I like get my point off across sometimes. Or
That is exactly how my daughter said it until about a year and a half ago. My neck hurts, Dad. Instead of saying my throat hurts, she would say my neck hurts. I'd be
Like that's a different thing.
that's a different. Yeah, I think
the
you mean
internals.
Your throat,
Yeah.
I think you mean your throat hurts, baby.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because your
so,
neck
like,
hurt, that's like you just tweaked something, slept wrong or something.
Yeah.
Whenever I describe it to people, because like people would be surprised because they'd see this white kid and like they know I'm American.
Yeah, and the funny thing is you look Asian, right? Like you look half
you
Asian,
guys.
right? And to us,
Right.
you look Asian, but you go over there and they're like, "That bitch ain't Asian. He's white."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So they would they're like, well, how much Vietnamese do you know? And the way I'd explain it to them, I'd be like, I know like 15%. And they're like, that's not a lot. Like the way you're speaking to us, it sounds like you know more. I was like, yeah, because this is a normal conversation I have.
Yeah, if you get
And
into like
I can-
philosophical differences, you're like, "Oh shit."
Oh yeah, I can't have like deep, in-depth conversations about
Yeah.
certain things. Like,
But still very conversational as far as
oh yeah,
you can get around, you can find the restaurant, you can whatever.
You can tell a girl
Yeah.
she's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I get lost, I can ask for directions.
Okay.
And actually, while I was in Vietnam, there'd be times where I'd be like, "Hey, honey, like get on the moped with my dad and go home. I'll follow you guys home." And I'd show up like 25, 30 minutes late. And my wife's older brother, he's like, "Where the hell have you been? Like they got here 25, 30 minutes ago. Like, what have you been doing?" I was like, "Oh, I was stopping and asking people for directions." And he's like, "You've been here for a year. You know how to get here. What the hell are you asking directions for?" I was like, "Well, because you guys know what I'm saying when I speak Vietnamese.
Right.
But other people don't."
Yeah.
So I wanted to test my Vietnamese out. I would just stop and ask people directions. And some people would tell me the right directions. Some people would tell me to stop and ask somebody else. And then some people would tell me the long way.
That's hilarious.
Like for instance,
Aw.
to get home this one time, all I had to literally do was drive about 50
But you
feet
knew
ahead
it was
and
the
go right.
But you knew it was the wrong way.
Yeah.
When they told you were just practicing.
Oh yeah.
So you could have called them out.
I could have, but I was
Aw.
like, I'm just gonna go the long way and keep asking people for directions.
That's a pretty cool technique to learn though.
Or
I think that's cool.
Sometimes I would go the wrong way and ask for a direction, and people would be like, "Oh yeah, you got to turn around." I'd be like, "Oh damn it!" Like,
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So when you go to Vietnam though, they're like straight up like this is an American.
oh,
Yep.
100%.
Okay. That's funny,
100%.
man.
It's like you're
Pick him out of a
American.
crowd.
Yeah.
Now, like they know I'm mixed,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they don't know what I'm mixed with.
I gotcha.
But like once I start speaking Vietnamese, they're like, "Okay, so you're mixed with Vietnamese?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Do you catch any shit about being a mixed race, like married to a Vietnamese girl, like from Vietnamese
hell
people?
no.
Okay.
Hell no.
I didn't know if there was any stigma around that,
No, actually, like,
It's almost preferred, right?
yeah, it's almost preferred. Like, I mean, some people, like, I guess, like the poor people would be kind of like offended, like, damn, they were the lucky ones, like found an American guy, like got him over to America, because like a lot of people want to leave Vietnam to come to America.
Okay. So is that because of
Opportunity,
economical reasons for?
Oh yeah, the American dollar is super strong over there. Like,
Oh, okay.
There'd be days where, like, I'd go out and, okay, for instance, I went to the mall with my son, bought some French fries, a Coke for him. I got this big ass like plastic souvenir cup with like some really expensive tea for like $5
Oh wow.
for all of it.
Okay.
Or like if you wanted to, like, for me and my wife to go to the movies, it'd be $5 for our ticket, for both my ticket and her ticket to go to the movies,
Oh,
which
wow.
to them is like, holy shit, that's expensive. But then
Sure.
I would get a souvenir glass of like whatever movie we were watching or whatever the big movie was. And then like you get that and like a thing of popcorn. But over there, I wish American theaters over here did it. They they have like 3 different types of popcorn. You have like your normal buttered popcorn. You have buttered popcorn, but they sprinkle some sugar on it.
Hell yeah.
But then you have caramel corn.
Hell yeah.
And every time I'm like, give me the caramel corn.
Hell yeah.
Caramel corn is so delicious.
You know how to,
there was
a time when I couldn't eat popcorn, except when I was at the end of high school, like senior year. I worked at the Hollywood Cinema here.
Oh yeah.
In Jackson, which is crazy because that was 20 plus years ago. Just to think about how long that place has been here now. But
the shithole that it is.
oh man, it's terrible. It wasn't that, and honestly, it wasn't that great when I was there.
Yeah.
Like the management was pretty bad. And
Yeah.
anyway, every night, I had to clean out the popcorn, sweep up the popcorn, and just saw and smell popcorn every day to the point where I was just like, almost made me like nauseous.
Yep.
And it was honestly within the last 5 or 6, 7 years probably when I kind of came back around to like, all right, I'm gonna eat some popcorn. But I'm still not my favorite.
Yeah, it's never been my favorite either.
But I used to love like the smell and be like, oh. And there was a time when it was like PTSD almost. Like it was like, oh god,
not again.
because when people leave a theater, they fucking thrash. They just spill shit everywhere.
Yeah, but Bert Kreischer was talking. He said Bert Kreischer had the Bert the Conqueror and then the Travel Channel shows that he had. He's been asked on several different platforms, what's your favorite place to travel to, and he's always said Vietnam.
Oh wow,
Really?
It was his number one place.
Okay.
And he said it, one, because it's cheap, everybody's really friendly, and you could take a group of people and have a great time for not a lot of money. He said
yeah.
getting there is really expensive, but
Sure.
Staying there is super cheap. He was talking about you could go on like a boat and like all the way down like this main river for a whole week. You could literally live on the boat.
Yeah.
With you and 9 other people, so 10 people could go on the boat. And they cook all of your meals. They stop off at every stop. They do all the things. It's like a river cruise, basically. And you could do it for like $800 for 10 fucking people for a week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when I first met my wife's family, when I first met her oldest brother, he took us out to eat. There was 10 of us. And like over there, whenever you buy like a drink, like a Pepsi or a Coke, it's not like one price, get as many as you want. It's like you're paying for each individual can.
Yeah. Okay.
So he took 10 of us out to eat, and we had a 9-course meal for between everybody, 9 courses, and like drinks and everything. And the tip was like $74.
Oh wow.
Jesus Christ! Could you imagine doing that here?
Oh yeah.
Going to Outback and just having appetizers and a meal.
Yeah, that's like a whole paycheck.
Yeah, it's literally for 10 people. I mean, we've done some fitness challenges, and we went to Outback, and there was 8 of us effectively. There was 8 people. It was the 4 people that were in the challenge and our spouses / significant others, and the bill was upwards towards $400, right? $400 or $500.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, the drinks and everything, but
Sure.
But I mean, it's effectively the same thing you guys did, except for there was even more people, a couple more people in that group, and it's literally a fifth of the cost, a sixth of the cost. That's how effective it is to make money here versus make money there. And so if you saved a chunk, you could go over there and have like the grandest of times.
Yeah.
And be lauded as like this, awesome dude because everybody loves you over there. It's weird.
And also over there, like what's expensive to them, as soon as we hear in our heads, and if you do the calculation, like money wise, we're like, psh, that ain't shit.
Yeah.
Like, cause like, okay, on average, like $1 American is 23,000 theirs. Now they spend their money in thousands. So like going out and getting a cup of coffee should cost you anywhere from 8 to 14 to 16,000 is like on average. But
What's the currency?
dong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fucking child.
But so like
See, I'd be terrible there. Like, how many thousand dongs you need again?
oh yeah.
Because I got some dongs, bro.
Yeah, I got all the dongs over
Anyway.
here.
But
I'm American. We bring the dongs with us.
across the street from the house we bought, there's this coffee shop, and my brother-in-laws, they're like, yeah, we really want to go there, but the coffee's so expensive. And I was like, well, how expensive is it? And they're like, oh, it's like 60 to 80,000 for a cup of coffee, which is like $3 and some change.
Wow.
For us, and
Yeah.
it's like, that's it.
That's pretty
Like,
standard,
that's- Like I was like, that's how much I pay for Starbucks now, like $3 and some change.
Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna say if you go to Starbucks, shit, you can probably pay way more than that. So.
oh yeah, like
Yeah.
back when I was getting frappuccinos, that's like
Yep.
$5 and some change.
Yep.
So I was like, man, $3 and some change, like that's how much I spend at Starbucks now. Like, let's go.
Yep. That's what
Which-
I pay that for my Dunkin' Donuts coffee when I go. So yeah.
But over in Vietnam, the way they drink coffee is they sweeten it with condensed milk.
Okay.
And it makes like the coffee have a whole different kind of flavor because their coffee is very strong.
Yeah.
It's like having espresso with sweetened condensed milk, and then they'll pour it over ice because it's tropical.
Yeah.
So they only have two, in the southern part of Vietnam they only have 2 seasons. In northern Vietnam they have 4 seasons. But my family's all southern, so it's all either sun season or rain season. And like, remember in Forrest Gump when he's like, "It rained for 4 months straight." I lived through that twice.
Oh, right on. So it really doesn't. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, like it's not like constant.
Big
It's
old
like,
fat rain.
Yeah.
It's like some days you'll have constant rain, but then there's other days where it's just like scattered, but it's going to rain.
Okay.
But it's definitely like that. And I mean, yeah, so like they usually drink cold iced coffee because it's so hot outside.
Sure. So how tough would it be? So if Josh and myself were just tomorrow, we're going to Vietnam and hanging out for 2 weeks. How hard would, if we didn't have anyone with us that knew the language, how hard would it be for us to get around and actually enjoy the trip? Would we need something? Would we need some Vietnamese, or would we?
If you guys stayed in District 1, that's like the foreigner district.
Okay.
Well, if you go to Saigon, that is.
Sure.
And you stay in District 1, then you guys really wouldn't have that much problems because there's a lot of people down there that speak English.
Okay.
But now, like, if you're going to like other places, like as long as you can point to the menu, which a lot of their menus they'll have pictures,
Gotcha.
so that's kind of helpful. Or actually, it really wouldn't even be that tough. You just have to make sure you took a phone that was
Google
unlocked.
Translate.
Because you could download the Google Translate app and
Yeah.
you could turn the camera on and it will literally translate everything that it sees on.
Oh, cool.
On there.
Yeah. So there's actually this thing that's it's way past prototype because this is something I saw a few years ago, but it's a hearing aid essentially that translates in real time. And that
yeah.
shit's crazy because it was pretty accurate. You know what I mean? And that, of course, you have to work it out for different languages and things like that. Can you imagine what that would do for travel?
Oh man.
I mean, like to literally be able to go anywhere. Now you're gonna lose out on some cultural things and some obviously I'm sure there's some issues with infliction and things like that, but that's huge, man. Like to be able to just pop in an earbud and
Google's working on it right now.
Yeah.
Last year, Aaron Allen told me about it, but Google during one of their tech demos, they had these earbuds that they're working on, and you can download the language software onto it, and whatever language software you have downloaded, it'll whenever it hears it just starts translating it immediately.
Yeah, I've seen it. That's crazy, man.
And I was like, oh my god! I was like, how far away are they from that? He's like, dude, they demoed it last year, so no telling.
That's wild, man.
That would be cool.
I feel like because somebody and this can lead us into something we wanted to talk about anyway. But I saw I think it was a meme or just a post somewhere that said it was the article that was talking about that technology, and somebody said, man, the nail salon finna be lit because if you're wearing
It's so true.
Which speaking of which,
He's a stereotype.
I was gonna say this is
I'm definitely
super stereotypical, but you work in a nail shop,
Yeah,
right?
I do.
Yeah.
I work in a nail. I have a nail license.
Yeah.
Avalon Nail and Spa.
Nice.
955 North Parkway.
Yeah, so all the
Linwood.
Jackson and surrounding area folks, if you need your nails did,
Yeah, over by Linwood Kroger.
yeah, Chris Nguyen here is, and I hear you're pretty damn good at what you do. So
It's because I have OCD.
yeah,
And like I'm very meticulous about
He
what I
is.
do. Like my wife and sister get on to me about it because they're like you're slow compared to us, but you do a damn good job because because I have OCD and I can't stand things to be like out of order. Like my OCD gets the better of me a lot of times. Like for instance, we went over to Josh's house to play D&D one time, and he took Lily out for her birthday to Olive Garden. So I was getting everything set up, and like there was this smell, and I was like, what is this smell? I was like, there's a smell I was like, I can't deal with this smell. So like I went over and like it was coming from his dishes because Dragan was supposed to do the dishes and he was gonna do them when he got home. My OCD couldn't handle it. Like I did all of his dishes before before he got home.
Old stank ass dishes.
It is what it is,
it's
bro.
Because
I ain't got no shame.
Someone had eaten some ramen and put it in the sink, and then just all the other dishes piled up on top of it. So it had started to like mold a little bit, and I was like, nope, threw that out, and like just washed all of his dishes. And he's like, are you washing my dishes?
See,
What's wrong with you?
Like, there's dishes in my sink right now, but I have to rinse the shit out of them. Like, there's never any leftover anything.
Yeah, I've got kids. That's not how that goes down
no.
at all.
Man, nope.
Yep,
I can't.
I understand. I get it. But also, I got fucking Jim and kids, and that shit don't roll.
I feel like Jim.
Oh,
might be worse than the kids.
Oh, definitely.
So
I love Jim, but he's
he's a big old barbarian.
You've had to have had somebody, because I mean, you guys do like feet, hands, all the stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm basically the foot specialist.
So there's got to be people come in with some gnarly ass feet. You just get in there. You just get in there.
Oh, I just get in there.
Ooh,
like, I mean, as long as like they don't have like open wounds, like I'm so used to it that it's like nothing.
No, I get it. Yeah, I mean, it's a profession. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of the thing of like, working in like a tattoo shop or something. Like, I never tattooed. I did. I was a piercing apprentice for a while, and so when people came in to get things pierced, it was never this. It was just very professional. It's work. You do the thing and just be. So I get that. You don't want to make someone feel uncomfortable. You don't want to make someone, ashamed or something. So it's just, get in there and do the thing. But I can't. Like, feet are already kind of gross to me, and I just can't.
Yeah, and he's had a standing offer. A lot of our friends have gotten the pedicure special from our buddy here, Chris, and I can't. I have super ticklish feet. It's one of the only spots on my whole body that's ticklish. And I'm like, nah, I'm good, thanks though. Just keep your hands to yourself.
I just feel like some people you got to get like a belt sander out and just go to it.
Oh yeah, like I mean, there have been some ladies that were like when I'm working, like I've got it, I'm just like and like the other ladies like, damn, like, like he's going to work on those feet.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Any crazy stories from doing nails and stuff? There's got to be some kind of weird.
Oh man, there's no crazy I don't have any crazy stories from like actually working on people. Like most of my crazy stories is like okay, back in like 10-15 years ago when I was working at the nail salon over by Books a Million. I don't know why I can't think of the name of that nail salon right now.
Books a Million?
Yeah, by Books a Million, there's a nail salon off to the right. Like
Luxor. Yeah.
Luxury Nail and Spa.
Yeah.
But I was working there, and like not a lot of people knew me. Because like over there, you get a little more high-end clientele.
Okay.
So I always... they'd always ask me because I was the only white kid in there, and they'd be like, "So what got you into doing nails?" Like, I was like, "You want to know why the white guy is working with all the Asians?" So instead of telling them I was half Asian, I would lie to them, and I'd just be like, "Oh, well, honey, it's because I'm gay." Like they don't want me, I'm not a super flamboyant gay. Like I just pretended to be gay, and man, the tips came rolling in.
Nice.
Like there was this one lady who literally gave me her number. And like she would call me about guy advice.
Oh my god!
Not even kidding.
Excellent. Did you give it to her?
Oh, absolutely.
I love it.
100%.
A lot of women should probably solicit advice from not gay men that they know they're not interested in, and just be honest about, like, listen, I'm not interested in you, but I really need like a dude's advice here. And,
you're ugly as shit, but you probably understand.
You're a piece of shit, but if you would help me, because I think a lot of dudes would respond pretty well to that. You know what I'm saying?
When she would call me, she's like, listen, I got this guy. He's he took me out on these dates and stuff, and like now he's not responding to me. I was like, girl, he's playing a game. He's trying to ignore you, like trying to get you wrapped up in his head. I was like, just ignore him. Like if he sends you any message or something, shoot him some one-liners. And like she's like, oh my god, it worked. So I was like, always listen to your friendly gay.
Yeah, and then you should also at the end of every one of those be like, look, but come and get them nails done and get them on point. And then
Actually, one of the funniest things is okay, so I love all types of movies. And growing up, I watched a lot of chick flicks with my mom because that was how my mom got me to stay up late. It was like, hey, I know you don't feel like going to bed, so you want to watch Dirty Dancing with me? And I was like, stay up late?
Bro,
Yeah,
I was just about
I'll
to say,
stay up late.
I've definitely watched Dirty Dancing with my mom and my aunt, like, because I wanted to stay up late for the same thing. And I remember even being a kid and being like, this is the worst. But
I tricked my brother into watching Dirty Dancing recently. It was incredible. Recently, within the last year or so.
Barrett was just on the last episode.
Oh,
so.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So here's the story about that. We were, I was flipping channels or whatever. I don't remember what we were doing, but I was like, literally, it was just like on all of a sudden. I was like, oh man, we got to watch that one scene where he lifts her up or whatever. And he was like, all right, I guess so. And then, like, I knew that it was not anywhere near that part of that movie. And I was like, I wonder how long I can take this.
That's awesome.
And so he literally was like, dude, what?
He's like, is that happening? Or?
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, in just a minute. And like 4 different times. And an hour later, it finally happens. He's like, what in the fuck, dude? You made me watch this whole movie? I was like, yeah, pretty much. The whole movie.
I can tell you one thing that didn't happen. Nobody put baby in a corner.
Nobody put baby in a corner.
Oh my God. So watching that movie, my mom, there's two great questions I had with that movie, which was, one, I was like, Mom, I don't understand why Johnny's getting fired. They said he stole the wallet, but baby came up and told him that she stayed the night with him. I stay the night with my friends all the time. I don't see why Johnny's still getting fired. And she's like, you'll understand when you get older, sweetie. That is a very grown-up thing.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, all right, Mom, but I mean, it's still just weird to me.
You're like, I think he got the bad end of the deal here. Yeah. That's great. Dirty Dancing, holy crap. Yeah, I've done same scenario too. I just wanted to stay up later, and it was like they're watching this movie, and I'm like, yeah, what? And I remember being a kid and being like, oh, what?
Oh yeah,
I don't like it.
So I like chick flicks. Mm-hmm. So our other friend Robert Kinnear also likes chick flicks. So one day,
I did not know that about Robert.
Oh really?
That is news to me.
Oh,
Robert's gonna listen to this and be like, you weren't supposed to tell anybody, bro.
So
we pinky promised.
So when the movie Leap Year came out,
I have no idea what that is.
It's this movie.
It is leap year this year though. We just experienced it.
Yes, but on leap year in Ireland, the women can ask the men to marry them.
It's like a Sadie Hawkins type situation, but marriage.
So I had just watched the movie The Lovely Bones because it was my off day. So I watched the movie The Lovely Bones, and then I waited for Robert, and we were going to go watch Leap Year. Mm-hmm. On our way in to watch Leap Year, Robert's like, listen, man, just don't embarrass me, okay? And so I was like,
that is the worst thing you can say.
Turns out
Christopher John Elway Wynn will embarrass you every fucking time.
100%. So as we're walking in, I was like, no, I will not make out with you. I want to watch this movie. And as we're walking in, all I hear is, Chris? Is that you, Chris? And I was like, oh, hey, Linda, how you doing?
Was that the nail lady that called for advice?
No, it was a different lady who I did her nails. And they're like, is that your boyfriend? I was like, yeah, he's my boyfriend, but he's still in the closet. He's shy. And
not anymore. That's amazing. Oh, my God.
Like normally when you go to the theater, there's that one seat rule. Like, nope, not with us. I was right beside him.
I'm glad you brought that up, man, because that is a rule. And it's not a deal. So there's that new theater.
The Empire, there's plenty of room.
Yeah,
right?
So if there's someone next to you, it still doesn't feel, because you have your own armrest.
Yeah.
There's still like a solid foot and a half.
I love Empire, man.
Great setup. But yeah, traditionally at a theater, look, everyone listening, if you don't know this is a public service announcement. If you go to the theater, you're not with a significant other, you're not trying to hold hands or make out or touch somebody in the anyway.
In the no-no square.
There you go. You can't sit right next to them. There's a 1-seat buffer. Yeah, you can't do it. Everyone's more comfortable. It's fine. If it's packed, we get it. You got to sit where you got to sit. Anyway, go to Empire and recline and stuff. And,
pay a little more to go to the nice place.
And you get it has like the old school school desk style table that swings in front of you. You know,
you can order food and they'll bring it to you.
Yeah, you can drink beers on there.
Oh,
assigned seating. Of course,
I got to say though, this is my one gripe with Empire is when it first opened.
Service is terrible.
It was pretty bad. It took we were
It's
we
still
go in,
not great.
Get our tickets, go to the concession stand. There's one person in front of us, and I swear to get them and us, it was like a 15-minute ordeal, and it was just like, whoa.
It was definitely a problem.
Like I just want a soda and some popcorn. Like that's all.
It's still kind of a problem, but I refuse to go to Hollywood.
Sure, it's gross.
I just will not go.
Well, I think they've remodeled trying to.
Yeah, but
I haven't seen it though.
I'm off though. I refuse to support
Cinema
people.
Planet too.
Yeah, dude, Cinema Planet. This is crazy.
Owned
about
by the same people, though.
It is. And what's crazy is if you go into Cinema Planet and then you turn and look at the doors and look above it, the structure itself is like cracking in half. Like the building is like separating.
Tons of water damage and stuff.
Yeah.
Not great. They're well known. You know, everybody wants to tell you now that Hollywood just remodeled it. It's great in there. And
no, it's not.
After 15 years of being a shithole, and then they heard the new theater was coming to town, and they were like, "Oh, I guess we better do something." And everybody tells me, "Well, they were thinking about doing that before then."
It's like a Indian guy and his brother that own it. I can't think of their name right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
But because I worked for them back then. That was the same dudes, and they could give a shit about.
Yeah, you can look from the landscaping.
The
landscaping outside is still garbage, right? And that's not a huge deal. But it's just it shows.
I don't even know how they were passing health exams. Because I went in there one day, and this wasn't like it was busy that day, so I know this was left over. But that section over there where you go get straws and stuff, dude, there was like caked up, like nasty butter, like just like grease and butter on the side of the thing.
That place is absolutely.
And I was like, how does a health inspector come in here and not go like, you got to shut down now? Like it was gross. The seats were gnarly, like. It was bad. So, don't go there. It's stupid.
Yeah, don't support people that refuse to have a nice establishment.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like we were kind of forced into like that's all there was. And then Cinema Planet opened and we kind of, it was like the wool was over our eyes a little. And it's like, oh, it's the same people.
Well, they actually didn't own it at first. They bought it from the people that built it.
Didn't know that.
Because every time a new one comes to town, what they'll do is basically wreck, they'll tank their ticket prices. They'll do whatever it takes to put the new guy out of business.
Yeah.
And then
they'll try and buy their establishment.
And then they'll buy theirs because they did the same thing with Regal. When they first moved into town, they put Malco and Regal out of business because their ticket prices were so much lower. They were giving away free popcorn. And,
I liked the Malco a lot. I liked Regal too. Went to the lot a lot.
Yeah, the Cat P Theater.
What's weird?
Malco was awesome.
What's weird about Regal though, when those setups, is it's like you don't think about like stadium seating's huge. But we didn't know about it back then. So, like, if a tall guy sat in front of you, you were just fucked.
Yeah, it was terrible.
And now there's not that issue. And, like, to go back to that, I'd be like, oh, no. But, man, it was to the point when Scott Norton worked there and, like, no one was going anymore. We would go watch stuff for free. And Scott was managing.
Yep.
So, like, he would be the only one there, and, like, he would have people under him. We would, like, literally go in there and smoke cigarettes in the theater. Yeah. Because it was just us.
Yep.
We would smoke cigarettes and watch, like we would go watch the new movies that were coming out the Thursday before they dropped. And we would go at like when they closed.
Yeah,
because
he had to preview them because he had to actually because it was the reel back then. It wasn't the digital.
Yeah, it was called a platter or whatever. They had to like the movies came in like 3 parts and they had to like stitch the film together.
And so they had to run it all the way through to make sure everything was kosher the day before. And so I can remember going to several of those events.
We would take like little coolers of beer and like we would literally sit there and smoke cigarettes and drink beer and watch whatever movie. So
it was a cool time.
I can say that now because it's not going to get anybody in trouble because that place is long gone. But, yeah.
And you know who owns that building?
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh man, because when me and Mark were working on our little movie project that we were writing, which I still want to get back into, we were talking about having renting that to like shoot, and I don't even know if I don't even know what it looks like in there, dude.
I'm sure it's a shithole.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean let's support people that care and are willing to get you good things, and don't support the shitty businesses that aren't willing to upkeep their place, and the only reason they do the thing is because another person is coming to town.
Yeah, and it's yet to be seen how Empire's going to fare in the long run, but so far it's been okay. We had was it you that went with me when they had the John Wick issue?
Yeah.
And I mean, they gave us like, so we went in and
we watched about 30 or 40 minutes of John Wick.
It wasn't that long. It wasn't.
No,
dude. It was like 15, maybe. It was real short because it was just up to the point where he like rides the horse.
Yeah.
And like right when he got on the horse, it was like meh. And so maybe 20 minutes or so. And and I'm obviously telling for the folks listening like what happened. So it just shuts down. Like no, and so now it's all digital. So you don't see the like. You don't see the film burn and none of that stuff. It just stops, and then finally they come in and they're like, yeah. We don't know what's going on, but it's definitely not coming back on. So we're just gonna give you guys. We're gonna give you guys a ticket. And so I was like, well, I appreciate that, but and this was like, I would have just taken the one ticket to replace it, but I was like, at this point, like, we've came all the way here and we've wasted all this time. I was like, maybe give us 2 free tickets, and they gave us 2 apiece.
2 apiece, yeah.
And I don't know if everybody got that, but I know me and you did.
Yeah.
So
the lady looked at me and she looked at us and she was like, all right, here, just take it.
I was like, I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that was a fair. And I was happy at that point. I was like, all right, that's cool. That's a fair.
I'm
deal.
usually not the guy to like ask for like extra shit at a place,
never.
but for that point, I was like, well, you're replacing the thing we already bought,
Yep.
which is standard.
It's fair.
But like,
We would like some compensation for
Yeah.
our inconvenience. Yeah.
and she gave us an extra ticket, and I was like, cool, thanks.
And what did the ticket say? It was something incredible. It was
It wasn't even, they were like generic as hell.
but it said something incredible on it. It was
I don't
like,
remember. They were yellow. I remember that.
Yeah. But it was like oh my God, I can't remember what it said, but it was like this huge joke that we joked about all night long after that. I can't remember anymore. Damn it.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But anyway, so yeah, Empire. Anyway, go there. It's pretty cool. Like I said, you're gonna classically at a movie theater have like 16 and 17-year-old kids working, and that's fine. But it was, to me, it felt like maybe it was a little mismanaged because it just, people were all over the place and didn't feel like there was any like order or something.
Yeah,
so.
and there was no cohesion to
But
it. Yeah.
but it's still, not a bad place. I mean, it's the best place in town
the best
for sure.
place by far.
So-
absolutely.
So I would say check it out. But we kind of talked about this a little bit. I don't think we've talked about it on the main show yet, but our love for Nerd Alert, everyone, Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, I love some Dungeons and Dragons. I love it so much.
And I was telling Josh, and when we were talking about it, I think we did it on a B-sides or a review episode, but we were kind of talking about how Dungeons and Dragons is classically it's just for, nerdy neckbeards that sit in their basement, and don't get me wrong, that stereotype exists for a reason. That is
absolutely.
That's part of it.
There are those.
Sure,
Yeah.
but there's also, especially I'd like to hear your thoughts on this too, is especially with 5th edition blowing up the way it has.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like it's more. There's more demographics that are kind of coming to Dungeons. The world, maybe not just Dungeons and Dragons, but the world of tabletop role play games in general.
Oh, definitely. It's I think 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons has really opened up the spectrum to people about what tabletop gaming really is and playing RPGs, because you got more people playing Call of Cthulhu now. You have more people playing Dungeons and Dragons. You have more people playing like Starfinder, Pathfinder, and just
Pathfinder just launched its 2nd edition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and for those that don't know Dungeons and Dragons, I'm sure you've heard of it, obviously, but you were saying 5th edition. The way it works basically is when they released Dungeons and Dragons in 1974 or whatever it was,
mid to late 70s.
it was just Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Right.
And what we consider 1st edition now. And as the years have gone by, there have obviously been
Reboots, effectively.
tweaks to the rules, some rewrites of stuff.
Yeah, the rules balloon up to a certain point, and then they kind of bring them back in.
Sure.
Right?
And so 5th edition, I think, has a really good blend of a lot of the different editions, the stuff that people loved about kind of each one. Because, there's always the elitist and the gatekeepers and the, I've been playing for this long and this is the best edition, and 2nd edition AD&D is the best, and,
Well, those people are just crazy.
3rd edition and 3.5. And
Yeah, I definitely don't want to do THAC0 anymore.
we talked about how insane that stuff is looking back. But at the time, when I started playing, I was really young. And I really didn't play necessarily. It was just my uncle and my cousins would play. So I would just kind of sit there, and they would let me kind of, you got a character, and they would let me roll the dice a little bit.
Well, yeah, see, we started with 1st edition because Corey's uncle, he had all the 1st edition books from when he played in the military.
Yeah.
So he ran a campaign for us, and we were playing 1st edition.
Wow.
And, like, Corey and them were, like, they come to school, and they tell us these stories. And I was like, what are you guys playing? What video game is this? And they're like, dude, it's not a video game. My uncle is, he comes, like, just come over to my house this weekend.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And
It started with me. It started with me and Corey, just the two of us, and then slowly but surely it built to 3 or 4 or 5 people, whatever it was.
Yeah.
His uncle literally moved in because I think he'd just gotten out of prison or something, actually.
I got you.
And like moved in, and it was like, "Hey, you guys are nerds. You want to fucking play this game?" And we were like, "Yes, we do."
Yep.
And we've been playing ever since.
Yeah, for me it was they were playing 2nd edition AD&D, and which is Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm not going to get into all the reasons and the things behind that. And
Right.
you can even go further back as to how it started with the game they had called Chainmail and all that. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, 5th edition is this really cool kind of. I think it doesn't rely on rules as much, but there are a lot. If you really want to stick to the core of the game, there are quite a few things, guidelines, and rules to go by.
Absolutely. I'm considered the rules lawyer of our group
Oh, Jesus
because
Christ, this motherfucker.
I know a lot of rules,
Yeah.
and I
And
don't.
he's a stickler about them.
I'm a stickler about some, but I will bend the rules for certain things. Like creativity and other things, I'm definitely willing to. But I'm also one of those people where I'm just like, okay, if I made a rule a certain way, then like we're gonna try and stick to it that
Sure.
way.
And for people that have
Consistency.
people that have never played Dungeons and Dragons, the biggest rule is the DM, the dungeon master, the game master, the GM, whatever you want to call them. They're in charge no matter what. It's their world effectively that you're operating in. And so if they say something, the number one rule is don't argue with them.
Yeah.
Right? That's just the way it is. It's literally like they're like the god of their own little universe.
Yep.
And you're playing in their universe effectively. And so what they say goes, and that's just it.
Yep.
And sometimes there's a lot of little pissy players that will get mad about, well, I
Sure.
should be able to do this and that. And you're like, shut up, dude. Just play the game.
Yeah.
Have fun. You know
Like,
what I mean?
okay, for instance, if you go by rules as written, a halfling can, if you had a halfling rogue.
We're getting real nerdy right now, guys.
Oh, yeah. So a halfling rogue could stand behind another player and hide behind them and then step out and shoot somebody and gain advantage on the attack
Yep.
roll. The way I...
Sneak attack or whatever.
Yeah,
Is that
well,
the-
no, you... they would get sneak attack, but they'd also just have advantage on the,
Oh yeah,
on the
yeah.
roll.
Have advantage on the roll. Yeah, yeah.
Which is you roll 2 dice and take the higher.
Mm-hmm.
But my house rule when I'm DMing is, okay, if the creature or people you're fighting against didn't know you were there to begin with, that first round you got it.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to go around and hide behind them again and then pop out and shoot again, you're not getting advantage on that roll because they know you're there.
Sure.
They know you're about to do it.
Yeah, sure.
But rules is written, they can do it every single
Yeah,
time.
I like that though. I think that's fair.
Common
You know?
sense wins the
Yeah.
day.
So yeah, but what's cool about it, I think the best DMs, and I think you're really good at DMing games.
Appreciate that.
And I've only played a couple of sessions with you guys, but there have been times where I played a character and I wanted to do this weird thing, and you were like, "Okay, let's figure it out." It wasn't like, "Oh, you can't do that." It was like, "Okay, well, let's figure out how to make it happen," and we
Yeah.
did, and it was fun.
Yeah, because I remember we were doing the tournament style arena, and you wanted to do this grandioso
Mm-hmm.
entrance, and I was like, "All right, like what spells do you have? Cast this, and
Mm-hmm.
then use this, and then this other player has this, and they can do the booming sound. Like, bam,
Yeah,
done."
yeah. So it was just a fun time, and I think the best DMs are the ones that don't railroad you into something, but have a plan at the same time. Like, so, because you know as well as I do, and I've tried to DM a little, and I'm terrible at it. But when you say, like, because basically what a DM will do is they'll set the tone, they'll set the setting for you. They'll say, okay, you walk into this room, and these are the things, and you give
They're the narrator.
yeah, they give a description, but a lot of it's vague because there's reasons. There could be a trap, there could be a secret passageway, there could be all these things, and that's up for the players to figure out. So I like the DMs that don't railroad you into something, but have a clear plan of like what's going to unfold.
Yeah, they kind of morph their plan to what you dumbasses do.
Yeah, because then it becomes a kind of an interactive storytelling experience. It's not
Yes.
just one person.
Oh yeah, and
It's a give and take.
Don't get me wrong, though. There are times where the players do stuff that will make a DM angry.
Sure.
And, like, for instance, when we were playing the Tuesday sessions at Josh's house, I literally almost killed the entire party because they...
TPK, baby.
we were playing... I wanted to try a different rule where if you got knocked down or knocked to 0 hit points, you got a point of exhaustion.
Okay.
Boy, it's rough.
It's rough.
Yeah,
It's rough. It's a hardcore rule, but I don't play it anymore.
It's like on hard mode.
yeah.
But Josh's character had like 3 levels of exhaustion.
It was rough.
Yeah.
And so the group wanted to go to this underground fight pit and try and win some money. And I was like, okay. Josh is like, listen, I got 3 levels of exhaustion. I'm going to eat and sleep for 3 days at a tavern. That's what I'm doing. And it's like, okay. I was like, you guys want to do anything in between that time? And they're all trying to go to the fight pits without Josh. We're at Josh's house. Mm-hmm. Josh is super cool about this. He's like, all right, yeah, you guys, if that's what you guys want to do, fine. I'll go play some Magic the Gathering. And I was like, in my head, I was like, if you motherfuckers try and do this fight pit without Josh, I'm going to fucking kill everyone here, and everyone's going to be making a new character except Josh.
Nice.
In my head, that's what I was saying.
Well, the worst part is I was literally the fighter of the group, right? And
Yes.
so I was the damage dealer. I was the main cog. I wasn't real useful outside of combat, but in combat, I was the most useful character of the group.
Yeah.
It's hilarious that it, they were like, damn, let's go do a fight pit without that guy.
So the way I fixed it was I was like, I'm gonna give them this one option, and if they don't take it, I'm fucking killing everybody. I was like, listen, I was like, you guys already paid your entrance fee in here. I was like, you guys can come back tomorrow, and you don't have to pay the entrance fee as long as you're signed up to fight. And they're like, oh, okay, good, we can do that. That way Josh can get in. And I was like, thank God you guys chose that, because I was gonna fucking kill you all if you didn't.
That's awesome. But what's cool though is
it's rude to leave a player out.
Yeah, it is.
It's not like he purposely was like, oh no, I'm going to go do this and do my own thing and try and take up time away from everybody else so I can do my thing. It was, hey, like my character needs this downtime,
Sure.
so I'm resting, getting back up to 100%, and then you guys just do whatever until then. But it was like, oh, the fight pits. Yeah, we don't need the fighter. I would have fucked them up.
well, because what sucks about in a session like that is if you guys engage in something while someone else is not with the party, like you don't know how long that encounter's going to take, and that person's literally just sitting there like.
Yeah. I was lucky that I my roommate
and you can't
has,
just be like, oh, and by the way, what are you still doing over at the inn? Like, because it doesn't make sense to the whole story anymore. It's like, okay, he's just not here, and that's a bummer.
And splitting parties is always a terrible
idea.
Terrible idea.
Terrible.
It's the worst.
So what's cool though is I'm hoping to join you guys soon in a campaign.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And this is really cool to me because I've known about these things before, and there's a couple of different I guess interfaces or services you can use.
Roll20, Fantasy Grounds. I think there's a couple more, but I don't know. I only know Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds.
And essentially, so there's some services called Roll20, which is a online kind of subscription based deal that gives you these tools to do an online session. So basically, we can all be in different places as long as we have the internet. A microphone headset, we can log into Discord.
And you don't even have to do Discord technically, right?
Yeah, you could just do chat. Some people only do chat, but I'm a slow reader.
Oh, I am too, yeah.
But you can't do audio and video through Roll20 too?
Oh, yeah, you can do audio and video as well, yes.
But it's just a cool thing because you can load up maps, you can have little character minis.
Your little markers are on the screen, you know what I mean? And you don't have to bust
the dice are all there. You can roll virtually and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that because working a full-time job, doing the podcast, all these things, it's just there's hardly any, and I make that excuse a lot, like I don't have time, but a lot of times it's just I'm just tired.
Yep.
And I get home, I eat something, I don't want to leave my house again.
Oh, yeah.
And that just comes with age, I think.
Yeah.
So being able to log onto there, still get the experience, I think will be super fun. So,
oh yeah, and see, I got 2 kids, so like it's not easy for me to leave the house because my wife might need help with the kids.
Exactly. So yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited to do that. And you even said something about doing a one shot of Call of Cthulhu.
Yes,
which is I'm familiar with it, but I've never actually gotten to play Call of Cthulhu.
I haven't either.
Really?
So I'm excited to do it because
I love Call of Cthulhu.
Because I know that you can't just attack shit in Call of Cthulhu and expect it to go well.
No, yeah, because you'll die.
Yeah, so you have to.
You will get murdered.
It's a different.
Call of Cthulhu is kind of like playing in a real life horror movie.
Yeah.
And
everything will kill you.
Everything will kill you.
Or make you crazy.
There's really a Jason Voorhees. You can stab him all you want. You're going to die.
Yeah. So I like the elements of. I've always been a Lovecraft fan, and I like that idea of like there's shit that exists in the universe that you should never see or no, you should never know about, let alone see. Yeah. So if you see them, it's like instant insanity, right? Or just knowing their existence can like drive you mad.
Yes.
Like I love that whole concept. And I also like I don't know how you plan on doing yours, but I like that noir, like 20s and 30s feel. I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
do a modern day or what you're planning on doing, but
Well, they have a one shot that they gave out for free on Roll20
Okay.
to get 7th edition kind of up and running with like the rule sets and stuff. So I'm just gonna run that.
And I have those-
I
I
haven't
have-
really read it yet. But
I
I'm
have the
going to.
7th edition source book. Like I have the player's handbook and all that good stuff.
Oh,
so.
see, I got the 7th edition, like
Starter set or whatever.
I got the starter set, but I
Hmm.
also got the keeper's
Choose
book.
your
Yeah,
own
okay.
adventure.
I don't know if I
kind
have the
I
keeper,
got
but I
the,
definitely
I got
have
the choose
the.
your own adventures, and those things are fun.
Yeah, I've got. Before you leave, I'll grab them real quick and show you what I got. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I want to play some nerd games and yeah, I just
That's a
Yeah.
foreign concept to somebody our age, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Is like the online thing.
well, at first I didn't know how I would fare with it, but I've watched some sessions with it, like just online, and it seems cool, man. I mean,
I enjoy it. It's definitely foreign at first, right? And I don't know where all the buttons are, and I'm basically tech
Mm-hmm.
dumb. You know what I mean? Sometimes.
but I got excited already because I was like, I have a Discord server. I'm sure you already have one.
Yes.
Like it's just cool. So yeah, I'm super excited to do it, man.
Yeah. I saw my son playing it online last year before last,
Mm-hmm.
something like that, and I was like, "You fucking kids, you're doing it wrong."
Yeah.
And then we started doing it. And I was like, "Oh, this isn't so bad actually. I like
Mm-hmm.
this a lot.
Yeah.
It's mighty convenient."
Yeah, for sure. What made you go Roll20 versus Fantasy Grounds? Was it just more accessible, or was it just the thing you picked first? Or
It was just the thing I picked first, and I seen other people using it, and I kind of liked the system they had integrated, and also you don't have to pay for anything. Like you could literally. I mean, I've played on Roll20 for almost a year.
okay,
I think it's been a year.
It's been right
Has it been
around.
a year.
It's been pretty close to it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've
On
been
and
playing
off.
I've been playing Roll20 for about a year now, and like I haven't paid a single dime, like subscription wise. All I've done is bought the books online,
the source books and stuff.
like some of the source.
I even
books.
thought about that myself because I own most of the D&D stuff. Not like the last 2 or 3 books that have come out, but everything before that, even like the adventures and everything, because I just like to collect them.
Oh, yeah.
For 5th edition. But I even thought about buying like the player's handbook and stuff on Roll20 just to have like just to be able to pull up and
Yeah, because anytime you join someone else's session, if they don't have the player's handbook, then you have to make your character straight from scratch. Where if you have the player's handbook, like all the options there, and you just click on what you want.
I got you. So I might go and do that because yeah, it's.
I mean, I
think-
already have it. So,
I got you.
So whenever you join, like
Oh, I
my
got you.
content is shared.
Oh, sweet. See, that's super cool.
See, and that's also a cool thing because one of the few things that doesn't get done anymore is nobody really pays homage to the DM as much.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, the DM is the least desirable role for most people.
I think for most, but I think the people that like it, like I think you enjoy
I
DMing.
love it.
But I think everybody would admit being a player is more fun.
Sure, but I think the
100%
But I think
being
the
a
Matt
player is more
Mercers
fun.
and I think the Matt Mercers and the Chris Perkins of the world,
But
like
they're also doing a service to
Sure.
the players because everybody would rather be a player.
Oh,
Literally, I don't know a human being
Sure.
that wouldn't rather be a
Matt
player.
Mercer always talks about how he like God, I just wish I could be a player
yeah.
more.
But it's like that dude is like, I mean, that's like,
Yeah, he's a
I
legend.
mean, he's pretty much like the guy, the
Yeah.
DM,
Yes.
you know. So
And so, but you know, like Adam, our buddy Adam, was forever a DM. You know what I mean, and all that. And then you see the excitement in their face when they get to be a player for once.
yeah, I
right?
tried to do it a couple times, and it's just I think I could
overwhelming.
do it, but it is, man. You like, there's so many things you don't think about,
Oh yeah,
and when they happen, you go, "Fuck, I got to think of something quick."
Well, see,
Yeah.
here's the thing that kind of halfway sucks about it too is, I remember the very first time when we were in high school, our friend Michael Gilly, we called him Mole Man.
Yeah, he's come up a couple times.
He was like our DM every time he was our DM. So trying to be the nice guy, I was trying to give him a break.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll DM. I went out and bought like a little one shot. It seemed complicated, so I didn't do it. So I tried to make my own thing up,
Yeah.
which was a horrible idea because Mole Man has so much extensive knowledge at that time,
Right.
that when I was running the one shot, he's like, "Why are these creatures here? Like these creatures are like Underdark creatures, and you've got them on the surface. Like nothing makes sense." And
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't read anything. I just looked at challenge ratings and what you guys could handle and
Yeah.
couldn't handle. Like I didn't care. Basically, I didn't care about the story. All
Sure.
I cared about was getting into a fight, and Mole Man railed me so hard that like I was like I'm forever a player, never being a fucking DM again. Fuck this shit. That's way too stressful. And
And it matters when DMs get stuff like that. Right? It shouldn't, right? But at the end of the day, it makes things more cohesive when
absolutely.
when the world you're in makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If there's some sense to it, then it makes for a better story and a better experience and a better play.
Oh, yeah. It taught me a huge lesson because when I finally started DMing again back when, like, at the tail end of 4th edition and when 5th edition was just starting.
Lots of sirens going on.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm curious because when I do Matt Brown's podcast, you can hear the sirens that clear. But whenever you listen back to it,
Can't hear them at all.
you can't hear it. Like, you can hear it in our headphones, but you can't hear it on the recording. So every time we mention it on there, we just sound like some crazy assholes because there's literally nothing on the recording.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see when I listen back to this. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, Moment railed me so hard about it that when I finally started DMing at the tail end of 4th edition and when 5th edition was starting up, that like I really started caring about that stuff.
Sure.
So him railing me and making me feel like shit that one time made me the good DM I am today. Which
Yeah.
I still don't consider myself a great DM.
I think you're pretty damn good at it, though.
But like it definitely made me want to be better in those aspects. So like now I care a lot about story, because right now I'm doing an Essentials campaign, which is the new Starbucks that just came out for Dungeons and Dragons back in like was it November or last year?
no idea.
It was
It came out
pretty
last
recent,
year.
though.
But
Goodness gracious.
right?
What the hell's going on out there? Anyway.
We're about to finish that up, and then Josh actually bought me the Eberron book,
Yeah.
and so as soon as we
As an appreciation gift to the DM.
yes,
Yeah,
That's the thing you should do every now and then.
The last campaign I played in extensively was Adam's Eberron campaign, so it'll be kind of cool to.
Oh, and like 4th or 3.5?
No, wasn't he doing Eberron at the
in
shop?
5th edition, yes.
I didn't know.
He was doing.
He
it-
was doing like ad hoc.
He was doing it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll be
He was
damned.
taking 5th edition rules, and he had some
Putting it
old,
on the top of 3.5.
So, which is impressive
Yeah.
as
'Cause
hell.
did they even release Eberron in 4?
Yes.
Yeah, they did.
Yes,
Did
they did.
they?
I didn't play any of 4th edition, but
Oh, I played it once or twice. I was like, this is stupid. I don't like it.
it was almost like a tabletop version of an MMO
Yeah,
RPG or something.
It was rough, dude. It was so rough.
4th edition, if you had the right DM, it was fun. They really nailed combat, and they really nailed skill challenges.
Yeah.
But the thing that kind of I think was bad about 4th edition was there was so many abilities, and so like multi-classing wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But there were so many abilities, like, oh, I mark you, and this person over here is going to mark you.
And there was
this
also
person, like there was so much things going on, and like so many marks and other stuff. Like it was just hard to keep track of everything.
Right. There was also a ton of like feats. Yeah. There were also a ton of like feat. Like
Oh, that was 3.5.
was it? Oh, was it
3.5.
Sure. Okay.
There was. Oh
Yeah,
my,
3.5. The
I
reason
think
they had
said
to
they
restart.
like 500 something
The,
feet.
the reason they had to restart 3.5 into 4 is because it got too broken.
Yeah.
There were too many things interacting
Well,
with
then
each other.
you know, of course, there was like all the fanboys, which I was a fanboy of 3.5. I loved it.
Oh, I loved it.
But that's why Pathfinder became a thing because
Yeah.
they did 4th, and everybody was like, no, not everybody, but a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
they
well-
jokingly call Pathfinder 3.75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was just built on those rules.
Well, I mean, because you could make a character that was so broken, it was ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
a 7th, like there was some 7th level Cobalt build that you could make that literally you would have God stats and could defeat anything.
Yeah, there was something where I saw somebody made this character, and essentially they could like grab a dragon by the tail and like spin it and throw it. You're like, whoa, you can't. Why would you be able to do that? That's not the thing.
And and part of the problem is the player, right?
Yep.
Don't get out of control.
Sure,
right? Let's
min-maxing and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
min-max players, they have their place. It's cool for a minute, but like after a while, it pisses the DM off and the rest of the party. Because if you have a guy that is way better than everyone else, that's boring as piss.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody wants to do that.
Yep. There's no challenge either. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's like that guy will just go in and wreck
Yeah, you
everything.
feel
Oh, yeah.
useless as a character, as a player. You feel like, well, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yep.
Let's just let that guy go play.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so I get the draw to make a really powerful character,
Right.
but at the same time,
It feels like so for me that would only be fun in like a one shot type thing.
Yeah. Oh,
where like
absolutely.
because I've always wanted to do one where everyone just made level 20 characters
ridiculous
and just made them stupid. Because I don't think I've ever reached level cap.
That's the
in a D&D
goal
campaign.
in Eberron, right? Is
Yeah,
the Eberron campaign is 1 to 20.
Yeah,
Oh,
my goal for this.
I'm down, dude.
Yeah, my goal for this Eberron campaign is it's going to be a year and a half to 2 years.
Okay.
And I'm starting at first level, and then we're going to end it at 20.
I love it.
And we're just going to do milestones, right? That way it kind of
Yes.
progresses.
Instead of XP or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
milestones to XP. I don't do XP
Nice.
anymore because
I'm excited.
that's
It's such a grind
there's
that way.
nothing wrong with XP, but a lot of times players will they get into the video game mode when it's XP. It's like,
Yep.
oh, we got to go kill this because it's going to give us XP.
Because we know it'll give us this this much.
we got to go deal with this because it's going to give us XP. Which in reality,
They wouldn't know that,
You don't
yeah.
have. Yeah, they wouldn't know that. But also, you don't have to kill things in D&D to get XP.
Yeah.
Like you could talk your way out of a situation.
Sure.
You still get full XP for that.
Yep.
You know, if you're in a fight and you're like, hey, does everybody want you guys want to surrender because we don't really want to kill you guys? Okay, you're still going to get full XP. If the creatures run away, you get full XP for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or-
and with the milestone thing, I thought it was brilliant when it was brought up because it's what 4th edition when they started doing that. I
Yes.
think that was brilliant to me because like you as the DM can then control the pace of your own campaign without them having to beat so many creatures at this pace, and you know they don't you don't have to shove XP down their throats. You can just do the story as you want to do it. At whatever difficulty you want to do it in those moments, and in the like let's say you get way in over their heads on accident as a DM, it's really easy to accidentally put some things that are way too hard or something to go terribly wrong on their end. You can kind of fudge it back and say, all right, okay, you guys got your asses kicked. But at the same time, when an important event happens, all right, they're going to need to be a level higher soon. All right, and I want to do this as a DM. This is coming up, and I know that. And then you can just level them immediately. Like, hey,
Right.
you guys leveled. Congrats on the milestone. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Yeah.
And you just have more control, and it doesn't feel fudged or faked because
Exactly.
it's at the DM's pace that
Yep.
way.
I dig that. I'm excited about it, man.
I'm super excited about it, and thanks again for that book.
Absolutely, man.
No, that's cool.
And that's what I was getting at is like with that Roll20 system, if your DM is the forever DM, kind of like Chris is for us now, basically is kind of the forever DM. Adam is still his forever DM most of the time.
I don't get off work early enough to
Yeah.
DM for our Saturday group.
Somebody takes over every now and then.
Gustavo.
But for the most part, it's almost always been Adam.
Yeah,
and it almost always
we're-
defaults back to Adam.
We're getting to a point to where we're starting to take more better breaks for Adam.
Yeah.
because Adam wants to be a player.
Yeah, and so, but if that's the case, man, like especially with these Roll20 systems, if there's a group that you always play with and one person has the main account, but they're always there, even if they're the player, you just buy the books through the one account, right?
Yeah.
And so
well, not to mention that one player can also, like, for instance, I have the books that I have. If I wanted to, I could make any of the players the DM, so they have access to all my stuff, and it's like you're the DM now.
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm
we're
saying.
still keeping the same.
and so
group.
as a group, you could all go together and buy the books
yes,
one at a time each, right? Instead of having to buy 4 of every book, so
Sure.
you have access to all the books.
Yeah, that's rad. I think that's a cool system that they're doing with that. So
yeah, for
I'm excited to jump in, man.
And it saves them money because they're all digital, and you know what I mean. They're
Yep.
not having to print the book, and then you're still having to pay a premium for it, but you can buy it for
the
everyone.
premiums are really nice. But the premium on the digital content is because the maps that are in the books, you're getting to use those maps
Oh, yeah, it's
with
awesome.
with tokens and stuff. So like I don't mind paying that extra price because it comes with maps, and I don't have to create that now.
So I know there's a subscription to the thing. What does that get you?
Mostly you can carry characters from over, like you get a character vault. You can carry characters over from one session to another person's session, and you get access to. It's mainly DM stuff.
I got you.
If you're going to be a subscriber, it's mainly beneficial to be a DM unless you're a player that has a lot of campaigns you're in, and you like this one character and you like transferring it over instead of having to make it constantly.
I got you. That's cool. Right on, man. Well, dude, I am super excited to get in there. We definitely got into the nerd stuff at the end. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So if you're still with us, you're probably a nerd too. So
Absolutely.
go out there and play some D&D. Chris, I appreciate you coming out, man.
Oh, appreciate you guys
definitely.
having me.
I'm sure we'll have you back on. We'll have a kind of rotating cast that comes through here and hangs out with us. But yeah, man, I appreciate the gift.
Oh, no problem.
For those listening, always check us out on the social media and send us an email, stayradpodcast@gmail.com. And if you got any suggestions, any thoughts, send them to us. Let us know. We would love to hear what you guys think. Yeah. So with that being said, I think we're wrapping it on up. And always remember to stay rad.